Flurkin?
Possibly.
Yeah. Okay, you've clicked on this, and we gave you ample warning in the thumbnail. This is the spoiler discussion for Captain Mar-Vell. You have been warned. Now, you guys already got my initial thoughts in my spoiler-free, but this time I brought my significantly better half to discuss it. So, initial thoughts.
I enjoyed it. It was good. What?
Yeah.
Okay, what? All right, it's an MCU movie. They're like always good. I don't care what anyone says. Iron Man 3 is good.
Yeah, Iron Man 3 is fantastic. I don't care.
But it's a good movie. Is it perfect? All right, show me a movie that's perfect. Actually, none of the MCU movies are perfect in my opinion. But it's a fun, good movie.
Yes. Screw the internet.
155 million domestic, 455 million worldwide. So $500 million roughly in a weekend.
So how'd that review bomb work for you?
It's a Mar-Vell movie. It's going to be fun. You're going to have some action. You're going to have characters. I give credit to this one, which you're getting kind of pseudo backstories to characters we've already established. Nick Fury, and he was in the trailer, so it's not really...
Yeah, that was a big surprise.
It's like you get to see Ronan like when he was kind of the accuser, but actually in good standing with the Kree. That was cool. We know that Ronan gets pretty much ousted by the Kree Empire. So you know that's how it all ends, but it's like, oh no, we have a Flurkin.
We got a Flurkin. Prior to this, what exposure to Captain Mar-Vell had you had before this?
The comic that's in the bathroom that he left in the bathroom for me to read.
The Kelly Sue DeConnick run. The main thing, which I had a feeling you'd love, is the fact that Captain Mar-Vell is very much a cat person.
Yeah. Oh, I knew about Chewie in the comics.
Yeah, Chewie in the comics, but...
Goose in the movie. Yeah. And that Goose, a.k.a. Chewie, is not a cat. It's very special.
Flurkins are apparently, in the Marvel Universe, a very dangerous creature with Cthulhu tentacles that fly out.
And a stomach that's like an alternate dimension, so it can pretty much eat anything.
Anything it wants, including...
But they look like cats.
Yeah.
It's not shapeshifter, it's not in disguise. It just looks like a cat.
They just look like kitties.
And they're intelligent because Goose stuck around and knew where to go, so they are relatively intelligent animals too.
I love the initial shots that were kind of establishing there was something up with this cat, where all of a sudden, they're in another room, and then the cat's like at the end of the hall just watching them.
They go into some storage area. You just see Goose down at the end of the hall just sitting there. Establishing the cat's there. And
it's like you're picturing Danny Torrance on his little bike, and they turn the corner, and there's Goose.
Talos acknowledges he's a Flurkin, and of course Nick Fury's like, it's a cat. What are you talking? And no one says anything. He just is really scared of this creature, and Fury's having a blast with it. Well, first, the reveal of Goose as a Flurkin is just they have the Tesseract. There you go. They have the Tesseract. And Goose just eats it, but tentacles just come out and eat it. It doesn't. There's no warning. This just happens. Nick Fury, he just drops the cat. Carol's not even phased. She's like, all right.
Carol's probably at least gotten wind of something called a Flurkin. She just probably never encountered one before until this point.
She knew that. Because when Talos acknowledges it's a Flurkin, she doesn't seem to care. She's just like, whatever, it's nothing bad.
Goose likes me. I'm good with it.
Goose is cool, so you know.
And Goose kind of liked Nick until Nick started being a little too patronizing.
Nick got a little too friendly with Goose, and Goose did not like that.
Just like any cat, you hold them the wrong way, they get a little...
Flurkins have cat sensibilities. They have that moment where you're petting them, and then you got that 5 seconds to go. And
they look at it going like, I'm going to cut you up. Kind of thing.
And look at her. I got maybe a minute left in this. Yeah,
maybe a minute left because this Flurkin might get a little... Goose the cat is the reason Nick loses his eye. And everyone can't really deny that, especially if they go back to that great line in The Winter Soldier.
Last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye.
He trusted Goose a lot.
He did trust Goose.
And if you look at the scratches in Winter Soldier, it's...
perfect scratch right across the cornea.
It's like, segueing into Talos, the Skrulls, which great villains from the Marvel comics, they ate the villains.
Turned out to be, they didn't, and I think this
the sect was, this was a small...
Yeah, well, this whole movie, it seems very clearly Marvel knew what expectations people had going in, because Skrulls are responsible for one of the greatest recent comics arcs of the Secret Invasion, and people were expecting to get into that, and then all of a sudden, rug pulled out from underneath. Oh, they're the good guys in this case.
Yeah, they're Kree. I mean, we know that the Kree are not the nicest group. I mean, Ronan
Yeah.
aside, they're kind of jerks. What was set up in Guardians, which is the Kree are not the nicest, and I mean, even Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Even Agents of
Kree were
S.H.I.E.L.D.
not-
Well, I mean, let's face it, these guys, even long before we were making
Even
fire,
less
they
than-
were experimenting on us. They were
So they're
messing with our
not
genes.
really trustworthy.
Yeah.
I like that this film didn't have a world domination thing. Like, the Skrulls were not trying to take over.
Very
the
personal
Kree
stakes.
did not care.
Yeah.
It was much lower stakes. Kind of like Ant-Man and Wasp.
Yeah,
Where it was a little bit more, as much as it was big, it was smaller.
Mm-hmm. Which makes sense, because since this is kind of a prequel story, you don't want to
Yeah.
go too big,
Can't
otherwise...
go Chitauri level. How did they forget about
How
this?
they all forget about this massive Kree invasion. And I guess in talking about Talos, we have to talk about the actor who played him, Ben Mendelsohn.
Good casting there.
That is amazing casting. Now, the thing I now have discovered I love about Ben Mendelsohn is that even when the character on paper is not particularly interesting, he somehow is able to inject so much personality into the character.
He's got a lot of charisma, and he just puts it right into any character he plays.
Without him, the character of Krennic in Rogue One would have been just another Imperial.
Yeah.
Sorrento in Ready Player One would have been just another CEO character, but he added so much.
Mm-hmm.
He gave so much, like, petty personality to him, which made him so much more fun. But because we had that expectation of him being a villain character...
Yeah, that threw you off, because you're like, oh, this guy's totally the villain. It's played by a guy who plays villains all the time. And, oh. Okay, movie.
He's a good guy, and he's...
I was actually a little surprised. I mean, I was surprised. I was like, okay.
And to quote Daniel Day-Lewis, I drink your milkshake. It was actually pointed out to me, and I didn't realize this, that milkshake in itself is a double 90s reference, because the cup is the exact same cup as a Big Kahuna Burger cup that Sam Jackson drinks out of in Pulp Fiction, and milkshake.
It's a $5.
$5 milkshake.
Wow.
Double whammy. And it's not even the only Pulp Fiction reference in there. In some of the shots of Coulson and Nick in the car echo shots of John DeVoe.
I did see some pictures of
Yeah,
that.
which...
I mean, the ultimate in-joke in the whole movie is Stanley's cameo.
The opening montage was great, and I did get emotional on that, but I was with Kevin Smith as far as getting emotional on that one, because
Oh, there it goes.
Mallrats, it was such a lambasted film, and the fact that we're like 20 plus years down the line, and the fact that Mar-Vell is not only referencing Stan Lee again, but paying homage to a film
Where Stanley is Stanley
In
with
the
comic
film.
books, learning the script for the movie there. He plays Stan Lee, who's in... I mean, it's like, that was Stan Lee. He wasn't some random guy.
He wasn't
reading
a
something.
watcher
he was
this
playing
time.
himself. He really was Stan Lee.
This time it
learning
really
the
was
script.
in canon Stan Lee, and
That was awesome.
yeah, that was like one of his first major times where he had a lot of roles. Because prior to that, he always did like voiceover introductions to like the Spider-Man series in the 80s.
I'm like,
this is
in the film.
so,
And timeline-wise would match up.
totally matches up, because the movie Mallrats came out in '96. This takes place in '95. So
And man, the soundtrack, that was 90s.
oh, pure.
And that was radio 90s. It was the stuff that, whether you liked it or not, you heard that music.
Oh yeah, and again, meticulously chosen too.
So that was my high school right there.
It was all
kind
our
of
high
like,
school.
well, it was.
Carol Danvers' entire history is extremely convoluted. It's a whole mess. I think that's why no one's really that agitated that they took some license with the way her origin goes in this case. In particular regarding her mentor, which Mar-Vell, who, and it was very cunning on their part to cast Jude Law, because Jude Law does
He
look
looks like the comic Mar-Vell.
rendition of Mar-Vell.
And everyone was like, oh, he's going to be Mar-Vell.
Yeah, and it's like, good casting, we're good with that. And then, nope. Annette Bening turned out to be Mar-Vell.
Yeah, the second they said it, I was like, oh, okay.
And
Well, actually, if you knew Mar-Vell's false names.
yeah, Lawson.
Lawson. So
Yeah, that should have been the tip-off. And
I did not remember that. I just
I
knew
didn't know that
Mar-Vell,
either.
and I
Yeah.
was like, okay, whatever, you know. Oh, okay.
the one thing you've always told me in the past is that it's always hard for you to kind of click with hero characters. If it's a hero character, it's usually someone who's kind of damaged, kind of like Jessica Jones is one you kind of really clicked with initially when you read it. So comparatively, how'd you click with Carol?
I like Carol because she's not perfect, for one thing, and I really have an issue with perfect characters, that including like Superman. I hate to say it, Wonder Woman. They're just perfect.
Yeah,
They're not really perfect, but you know what I mean. They're Boy Scout and Girl Scout. They're just
it's really hard to give them compelling, relatable stories to go with.
I just don't get into that. I understand people who do. I don't. I like Jessica Jones because she's damaged and she has issues, but maybe she's extremely damaged. Like, I don't even call her a hero at all. Carol, on the other hand, she's a hero, and well, even though she finds out a lot of horrible things and, you know, betrayals and all that stuff, she doesn't let it bog her down. She's sarcastic, she's witty, she's tough, she has fun.
Yeah.
She knows how to have a good time. She's very normal. Yeah. She's a normal person. She just has these insane powers, and even when she does, she can make jokes, but not like Tony Stark jokes. They're more like when her hands are all bound up and she's trying to use her blast, but they're blocking the blast because they're on her hands. So she's like, "Hey guys, can you help me get these off?" And it's like, you know what? Wouldn't somebody say that if they're getting frustrated with the situation?
And it's because of that demeanor. I think that's why Brie Larson worked in the role. Because
I liked her. I thought she did a good job, especially the scenes where she was having kind of like a good good camaraderie with Nick Fury.
Mm-hmm.
They really had good chemistry and were buddies, especially when she was like picking on him, trying to find out if he's a Skrull or not, and ask some questions, and then just like gets him to say like an embarrassing fact
about,
like,
about his toast being cut the wrong way.
Like diagonal toast, and she's like, he's like, you didn't need to know that. She goes, I know what it was funny.
I know, but it was funny.
When she powers up for the first, like fully powers up, you know she's ready to kick some butt, but it's not overly dramatic. It's just like she's awoken and she's ready to go.
Trying to remember, I'm paraphrasing, but Kelly Sue DeConnick, when she rebooted the character, she said Captain America and Carol do have, in many ways, a similar history in the fact that both of them were pretty much downtrodden in their early days, whereas Captain America got back up and just said, let's keep going. Now, Carol's the kind of person who gets back up and says, F you.
Yep. When Jude Law's character, what's his name again?
Yon-Rogg.
Yon-Rogg.
Turned out to be his name.
He's got a big thing about fighting without the blast or anything, and he's kind of a pissing contest. And he's like, "Come on, let's fight together. Let's do this." She just shoots him. She's like, "Hell, would I not do? I got nothing to prove to you."
Yeah.
Screw you, dude. Where the blast come from? Her origin is she pretty much has the power of the Tesseract.
Yeah.
In essence.
And that would definitely account for why Yon-Rogg would take her initially, because he's like, okay, we don't have the drive anymore, but we got someone who's crazy powerful. Let's get her up there.
She's juiced up with
She's juiced up like crazy.
Like, we have a weapon of sorts. Let's use it.
And that kind of segues into the overall theme of this whole movie and the whole journey of Carol, even back when she was struggling to be a fighter pilot, is just the idea of people always trying to control her.
Mm-hmm.
Most people would just collapse or just accept it. She just kept...
No, she kept getting up, and that's actually a montage where she'd fail, she'd just get back up. She'd fail, get back up. And that's the point, is that you just keep... Or, you know, like Cap says, I can do this all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so did she. She was doing it all day. She got back up. She kept going, and
she
actualized her dream, which was to go into space and be fly, which she did.
When we initially meet her, when she has no memory of it, you can sense the frustration that she knows that everything he's telling her about holding back her emotions and all that stuff, you always get that vibe in her head that you can see it in her performance, where it's like, this doesn't feel right.
Well, she always... They made the comment that she was rebellious and all, and you know the second that you're rebellious, you know something's wrong.
Mm-hmm. And I like the fact that Nick clocked that the first time he met her. It's like, I know renegade soldiers when I see them. I know that you got a personal stake in this whole thing.
But Thanos better be afraid, because he's in deep.
Mm-hmm.
In the movie, she flies up in front of Ronan's ship and blazed up, and he's like, "Okay, guys, let's go. Well, we'll do about this later."
Oh, even better, she just goes.
Yeah, I swear in my head though she flicked him off. In my head, she mentally sent him that message.
Bit more decorum, even though.
But basically, she's like, "Boy, you better run."
It would have been funny though. Beam of light coming up from there.
That'd be Deadpool.
That'd be Deadpool.
But here's the thing. This is Ronan. Last we saw him, he told Thanos in his face, or at least in the screen, "I'm taking your Infinity Stone, and I'm coming for you." This guy had the big enough balls to say that to Thanos. He sees her. She doesn't say a word, and he hightail books it.
He gone.
So I'm like, okay, case in point, she scared Ronan to run. This is a guy who was later very willing to throw down with the Mad Titan. Thanos is gonna have to get off that farm and start fighting, because she's coming. Boy, better stop farming.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of the major thing I'm eager to see because Infinity War did show us a lot of the people trying to fight Thanos, and
this is where they're gonna actually fight him.
Yeah, this time all of them are going to come together.
And that was the mid-credits scene, is the pager actually connecting to her.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and
her and Cap having a conversation is gonna be fun.
That honestly, I feel like those two would actually get along great. The one I'm most intrigued about, to be honest, would be her and Widow, because Widow for a long time has been Nick Fury's confidant. She's been one of his inner circle.
I don't think there's gonna be too much of an issue because Widow's gonna be like. One, she's gonna be a spacey thing. Like probably how she treats Thor is how she will react to Carol because they're like the spacey people.
Yeah,
they're the ones who fly in space. I would be like, you all the fly spacey people with laser beams and crap. I don't think she's gonna get any.
I don't think she'd maybe.
I think she's gonna be more worried about Clint. I think her focus is gonna be on him.
Yeah, and now we know
I'm just calling out. I want to know where is Goose, and is he going to beat Rocket?
No, yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing from the
Goose.
comic. I really want to see happen. Likelihood is pretty slim, but it would be great. In the comics, there's a great bit where Rocket sees Chewie for the first time and flips out, like saying, he starts pulls out his gun and starts shooting up the ship. And Carol's like, "Stop shooting my ship! Stop shooting at my cat! It's not a cat! It's a Kratakan flirkin!"
And Goose maybe makes an appearance at some point. The final credits scene also.
Yeah,
which is not important, but it was hilarious.
Because that is so cat. I mean, evidently Flurkins and cats really do have a lot in common. Because of course the cat pukes on the least convenient place that a cat could puke, on his desk.
And it's of course the Tesseract.
It's of course the Tesseract.
But I'm just sitting there, and it's also cat takes a while too. I'm like, oh, it's so like a cat. You just know it's coming. You're like, just do it.
And the characteristics are all there. Like right when it stands there,
this cat
the cat even starts licking its mouth, and both you and me we're like he's licking his mouth. He's gonna cough.
Oh yeah, I'm like, oh no, it's gonna. And I'm like, think about the animator who what'd you do? I animated a cat throwing up the Tesseract.
I guess the final thing really to talk about is how the impact this movie's already having. I mean, apart from the big box office draw that, in lieu of the efforts of review bombers, I mean, there are people who are really clicking with this one.
I think it's going to continue the trend that Wonder Woman did, into Black Panther, into this. Is basically we're going to see more bare budget movies that are for starring women, starring people of color, and just giving us more variety. I think it's going into a good trajectory because a large portion of people out there that have not really had themselves on screen are getting themselves on screen now.
Yeah. And
you're tapping into the untapped market. It's a market that's always been there. I can debate that 100%. It's always been there, just never tapped. You're tapping it, and that's how you're making $2 billion. That's how you're making $500 million in a weekend.
And all these cynics who kept trying to say oh well they tried it before with all these other movies. Yeah, well, including one movie that we featured on the Cinema Schlock Society. The problem with those movies is that they were done as cash grabs and they made no effort.
They weren't even
Not
trying.
even close.
And that doesn't. Effort is being put into films now, and into superhero films now.
Yeah, one can even say that they probably learned a lot from what they accomplished with Black Panther in leading into this, because it anatomically it felt like they were going the same route. Because Black Panther, same thing, where they took a relatively unbankable cast, a director who. Well,
I will argue that the one smart thing that was done with Black Panther, he was introduced earlier.
Yeah.
Carol was not. So that was a change, and that was a risk. Is that she has not been introduced whatsoever, aside from a pager. Even Wonder Woman got introduced in Batman vs. She was the only good thing in that movie.
The only good thing.
But they had been like, okay, here's this character, now here's their movie. This was the first time they went, all right, here's a movie.
Yeah, just.
And it doing well, hopefully can start the trend of, okay, here's your movie.
Mm-hmm.
And not have to preview the character and give, again, more variety to... Because keep in mind, how much variety is in the Marvel Universe.
Yeah.
A ton. Go for it. Now we can go with that.
And from what we have heard about what's going to happen in Phase 4, I mean, apparently the Eternals, which is another thing that's just completely out of left field, another Iron Fist-esque character named Shang-Chi just got announced that he's going to get a movie. I do not know this character from Adam, but at this point, if Marvel wants to introduce this character,
bring it.
They have enough clout and they have enough room to take a risk even if the character's
what
obscure.
It's 21 movies now?
We're at 21 movies.
21 movies,
Endgame-
and overall, you can say they're all watchable. You can say some are stronger than others, that's fine. That's very much a personal preference. I've noticed that it's not actually the quality of the film. The quality of the films all are there. There's no Cars 2.
No. I mean, Lord knows I dread the day when we get our Cars 2.
I think maybe the Inhumans TV series sucked all that away.
God, you know what?
So you don't have to ever think about it again.
If Inhumans is going to take the Cars 2 bullet,
I'm fine with that.
Hashtag Scott Buck is bad luck. But, yeah.
I love it. I thought it was a great film. Fun Times is going to go on the shelf when it comes out.
Oh, absolutely.
And looking forward to Endgame. I'm actually looking more forward to Endgame now than I was before.
I think it made me more happy than anything is that when I kept telling you that you get a kick out of this character, and the fact that you did.
Yeah,
made me really happy.
I will say the movie helps you get a kick out of her. The whole movie was fun. I liked everybody in it.
Keep it here on Narcotic Casserole, because very soon I'm going to start my Marvelous retrospects where I go through the entire history of the MCU movie by movie. For more coverage on Narcotic Casserole, like, share, subscribe, click. Thou shalt be served.
Prove you're not a Skrull.
That's a photon blast.
And?
A Skrull cannot do that.
I'm just supposed to take your word for that.